Hi everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about a Tesseract. This is designed by James Fernhaber and it is published by Smirk Dagger.
Alright, so basically there is this alien cube that is descending upon the Earth, and it keeps on reducing and reducing, getting smaller and smaller, and if it ever goes down to nothing, bad things are in store for the Earth's population. So what we are doing is we are trying to be the last wall of defense, trying to stop this cube from diminishing in size. This is a full cooperative game. It's got this lazy Susan full of these custom D6s that we are trying to manipulate in order to save the world. Let me give you a quick overview of how to play. Alright, here's our setup for Tesseract. Every player is going to get their own personal player board. You're going to be able to track your actions on the side over here. It also kind of gives you all the different breakdowns of the actions that you can take during your turn. And it's your storage for your lab. You can hold 6 dice at a time in your own personal lab. Alright, over here we have our breach track. That's one of the ways we can end the game. It's going to kind of tick up and up and up. If it reaches that very last spot, we have lost the game. The other way we can lose the game is, this is a kind of entire cube full of dice. If that ever is completely empty, we lose the game that way as well. Alright, over here we have our primed area. Some of the dice are going to be coming off of the board into our primed area, and that's going to cause some problems. It's also going to be what causes the breach track to go up. If we ever get 3 of a various symbol or number in the primed area, that's going to cause us to go up on the breach track. Over here we have our research cards. These are kind of like the level 1, 2, and 3 style research cards. The higher up you get, the better they are. And I mentioned how we're going to lose the game. If we're going to win the game, we need to fill this whole containment area. There is all 4 of the colors represented here, and as well as all 6 of the sides. If we can fill an entire board, we are going to win the game. We're going to start the game by drafting one of these symbols, putting them in our lab, and then some more are going to come down into our primed area, which again is what we don't want. The main thing that we are trying to do is we are trying to get sets of dice into our lab so that we can send them to the containment area in order to fulfill the endgame conditions. A set can either be 3 of the same dice, so like 1, 1, 1, or 6, 6, 6, something like that, or it can be a run, 3 dice in a row, 3, 4, 5, something like that. They all have to be either the same color, or they all have to be different colors. Once you've drafted 3 dice like that into your lab, then what you're going to do is you are going to send one of them over to the containment area, matching its dice face. The other 2, what you can do is you can leave them in your lab as they are, or you can re-roll them. And re-rolling them just lets them put it back in the lab with their new dice value, but it's also a way to grab some of those research cards. That's kind of a nice way that you can get some extra special abilities and some ways that you can modify the board in your favor. So we've got a yellow 3 on our board. What we can do is we can kind of rotate this around and see what we can kind of want to draft. Maybe we want to draft a 4 over here, a yellow 4. We could also get a yellow 2 from over here. And now we've got our set, a 2, 3, 4 of yellow. So our third action could be to send one of these dice over there. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's put our 3 over there. Let's re-roll some dice. Put them back into our lab, and we were able to grab one of these cards. This particular one says, adjust 1 primed cube. Alright, so why would we want to do that? These primed cubes over here, those are all going to be triggers that make the breaches happen. If there's 3 of any of those dice during the threat phase, we're going to go up on the breach track. So this is a good way of kind of manipulating that so you don't have 3 of a kind in there. Another action we can do is called adjust. Adjusting moves a dice either in your lab or in the primed area up or down by 1. That's another good way to set up the area for your lab so you can send dice over to the containment area, or so you can mess with the primed area so that way it doesn't get to those breach thresholds. Another reason that's important is in the primed area, if you ever have a dice at 1 and you get it down to below 1, you actually get to remove it from the board. So this 2 over here, let's say we moved an adjust action to get it to a 1. We could use another one of those adjust actions to simply remove it from the board. Another action you can do is called transfer. That gives you the ability to trade dice with another one of your players, so that way you can kind of both set up your sets or your runs. Also, there is the study action. What you can do is you can discard one of your research cards in order to draw the next level up. So it's 2 here. What we could do is we could discard this and instead grab a 3, which might be a stronger version of the similar kind of action. This particular one says, take 1 cube from the Tesseract and place it in your lab. You may adjust it. So right away we can take a cube, put it on our board in any way we want, change the dice value. The last action we can take is called the unique action, and that's going to be based off of our researcher cards. At the beginning of the game, we're all going to get one of these researcher cards that gives us our own special abilities. This particular one says, you can return a cube from your lab to the Tesseract to take 2 cubes from the Tesseract. That's a really great way to manipulate the board. Or maybe we have the transport engineer. This particular one says, take 2 cubes of the same color from the Tesseract and place them into your lab. You can kind of get 2 actions for 1 with that ability. They also usually have some kind of a static ability that's always in effect. This particular one says, whenever you transfer a cube, or a cube is transferred to you, you may adjust it. Again, it's a really great way to manipulate the dice in your favor. Alright, and that's all the actions you can really take in Tesseract. Remember, you want to try to avoid having any breaches and filling that checkup. You want to avoid having the dice run out on the cube. And you want to try to fill up the containment area as fast as possible in order to win the game. If you start winning the game a lot on the easier levels, there are a whole lot more of these different boards to start the game off with. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. They all get increasingly harder. Basically, all these symbols are on the platform here. Once you uncover an entire tower, what's going to happen is all these different symbols are going to go off. Those are going to be various bad things. All of them are bad. They're listed over here on the breach track, on the breach board, and they're all going to be things that increasingly worse and worse. I also forgot to mention that after your turn, there is a threat phase. So after you've taken your 3 actions, now it's the cube's turn. The cube's going to take an action. Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to rotate this around, and you're going to find the lowest exposed dice. If there's a tie, you take the lowest number. So in this case, it's this one here. This is going to go to the primed area. It's going to keep on getting lower and lower and shrinking itself, adding more cubes into the primed area every turn. And like I mentioned, once that bottom cube is removed, now we're going to reveal some kind of an action that the board is going to take against us. In this particular case, it says, re-roll the lowest primed cube. So this 1 over here is going to become a higher number, which makes it harder and harder to remove. Other effects might have you remove extra dice, or perhaps prime extra cubes. Whatever the case is, it's going to keep on ticking down and down, fighting against you the entire time. But if you and your team are able to fill the containment area before any of the 2 lose conditions are met, you and your team will win the game.
Like Ryan mentioned in the introduction, these really are just D6s, right? But when you're playing the game, you don't think that. They abstract it really well. Like, you're not thinking that this has 4 pips or this has 6 pips. I mean, there are certain times in the game where I was looking for the design of the dice and not, like, how many pips were on it.
It matches, like, the theme perfectly.
It is so good. They took these normal D6s and they abstracted it to where you're like, no, these aren't D6s. This is something else. But no, they really are just 1 through 6. But they did such a great job and the clever design that when I'm playing the game, I'm looking at the design. I'm not even looking at the pips. It was incredible. It was so cool.
One of the things that really draws me to this game is the table presence. It has this big kind of elevated spinning Lazy Susan that has this big tower of D6s on it, this big tower of dice on it. And it seems kind of almost like, oh, this is probably going to be a gimmick, right? This is probably going to be, okay, whatever. It looks cool, but what does it matter? No, it actually not only does it look awesome, but it also has a great function in the game. You really want to be analyzing every angle of this thing, so you want to be spinning around. Don't spin it too fast, you know. Whoom, and dice just go everywhere. But you want to know exactly what's going to be coming out next, what's going to be going to the primed area next,
yes.
what dice are available to you so that you can kind of make the most of your set collections, that you can try to keep on going to the containment area.
Yeah.
All those things you want to analyze every angle of this before you make your choices without having to stand up and kind of like look around it or whatever. This actually is not a gimmick. It actually works really, really well.
Yeah, it actually helps the game progress.
Yeah.
It makes the game, you're not standing, you're not stopping. It makes the game continue to go forward. So really, really cool. I also like that this game is fairly challenging. I know when I play cooperative games, I like about a 40 to 60 win-lose ratio, and I definitely got that, which I enjoy. I like it when it's difficult. I don't mind losing cooperative games. For me personally, if there's not a struggle, then why would I even play this game? Like, that's just how I feel about cooperative games. And it also, the discs that you put at the bottom, you can kind of mitigate the difficulty based on when something is revealed, what happens. I think it's 1 through 8, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, 1 through 8, and I randomly put one in one of the games we were playing. I didn't even look at it. It was the most difficult one, and we lost really early in that game, so early. That wasn't all the disc's fault. That was because we were horrible at playing that game that round. But it's really cool that you can kind of mitigate the difficulty, because I always like that in cooperative games.
I think that all of the choices in this game are meaningful. You're spinning this around, you're analyzing it all, because you want to make the best choices. You only get 3 actions per turn, but you need to make the most of them.
Yeah.
You want to be able to kind of control the primed area. You want to be sending stuff to the containment area. You want to be making sure you have your own sets on the board. You want to be looking out for what's coming soon. You know, what's going to be the most recent, like, lowest dice that's going to be coming to the primed area. So all of that matters, and all of your decisions reflect that importance. So I kind of like the meaningful decisions in this game of how you're going to affect that and how you can kind of combo things together. When's the best time to use cards? You want to save them for the most ideal time, but at the same time, if you wait too long, it might be too late. So I like all those decisions. It's a really sweet spot for this game, is kind of the thinkiness of it. You know, if you do have someone who suffers from analysis paralysis, you could get locked in a little bit of that. My God. Well, if I do that, then this. If I do that, then this. If I do that, then this. So
just take your turn.
So that can happen, but at the same time, it's really enjoyable, kind of satisfying to make sure you get those ideal situations made.
Overall, this was such a fun game, and if you have somebody in your group or somebody that you play with that really likes cooperative games, I would definitely check this one out. I think it's one that you would enjoy. I think it's one that, because you have to work together and because you can't really like dictate what people do in it, it works really well. So if your gaming group or somebody that you game with only likes cooperative games, I would definitely check this one out.
This game has a fantastic presentation. The art is cool. The tower with the Lazy Susan is cool. The dice are exceptional. And there's also like a deluxe metal dice. Really, really cool looking. But you know what? On top of that, the gameplay matches the awesomeness of the presentation. This is just a big hit for us. Whenever we play this one, people are like, that was cool.
Yeah. Everybody, thank you so much for watching it. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.